Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Nazar Labunets with Ataccama, and today I have the pleasure of talking with Palash Thakur, a VP, Head of Data Analytics and Fraud at Interac. So welcome, Palash.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining the interview. Let's get started. And what do you think about, communicating the outcomes, internal marketing of your team, of your success?
Your success as a CDO or data analytics function is not only driven by the smart work you do, but it's also driven by how much you go about promoting the work, right? And communicating the work. People will have to understand. There's a lot of education that goes in, right? So your communication and storytelling aspects are very important for the success of a data analytics organization. We do a lot of internal knowledge sharing sessions, right? Just sharing new ideas, new concepts, new projects that we've worked on, new tools and technologies that we bring in. At the same time, I think it is important for an organization to also, uh, do a lot of outreaches, right? Whether it's to external academia or even to your partner organizations and stuff. I think you have to set that, right? I mean, you have to go out in the market, go out to conferences, be present there, share your story, and all of these help amplify your brand presence, I would say, right? Of what you can do and how you're delivering the painting the broader vision as well as talking through the execution path, I would say, right? So yeah, I mean that is very important. Internal marketing as well as what I would say communication and education piece is super important to really drive that data centric culture in an organization, and also helps attracting talent. Right, to my earlier point on talents, finding talent, right talent is a challenge. You know what? If you can promote the work you're doing, the good work you're doing, it is easier to find the talent and the right talent when you're looking for roles and stuff.
Great, great. Thank you for these details. So, continuing on, the topic of success, do you have any tips for someone who is just getting started as a CDO, like first-time CDOs, people who are getting into a leadership role? What would be the top tips you'd give them?
Yeah, I would say whether you're first time CDO or a seasoned CDO, I'll probably give the same tips, right? First and foremost, they have to be very outcome focused, right? You have to prioritize your prioritize to focus on understanding the business strategy or the corporate strategy that you have. What are the aspirations of an organization? How do you deliver on these key business outcomes? Some of these could be, again, monetization or commercial opportunities or revenue generating opportunities. Others could be as simple things as risk mitigation, cost savings, right? Um, or providing value to your clients, right? Now, that is probably one of the most important uh, factors in the success of a CDO. The next thing is you have to focus on some foundational capabilities within data and analytics that you have to drive these key business outcomes with, right? You have to ensure you start with a sound and well orchestrated data analytics strategy. You have a good tech stack, analytical environment, data management and governance principles. Important we factor in privacy, data health, quality. All of these things are very important. And then you deliver on your AI, ML, or analytical use cases and deliver them fast, right? I mean, some of these could take time, but you have to also have quick wins along the way, right? Uh, Create reusable data products and assets for future consumption, right? And ensure that you have what I would say an agile operationalization process, because most often what we see is you might have the greatest of teams, you might have all the tools and technology, but when it comes to operationalization of ideas, it doesn't make it through, right? So you need to have a fast and iterative process of operationalization of data analytics assets. The third thing I would say is create a solid engagement model, right? Put in place a very strong ideation and opportunity management framework to capture business ideas and prioritize those use cases. Create an engagement model to ensure that the data analytics team is always in sync with the business or the product owners. I think that is paramount. And then we talked about talent a little bit. So talent and culture is another important thing. So you have to acquire and build the necessary skills and talent, and foster the right collaborative and data-driven culture, I would say, within the organization.
Yeah, thank you. Fantastic. So these sound like a summary of what we have talked about so far.
Mhm.
So thanks for that answer. So you've mentioned data products a couple of times, and the fact that you can like reuse them, right? Quick wins. So let's talk about data product management and winning with that framework.
Mhm. Sure. Yeah. So I'll probably capture two things: data product as well as data innovation, right? And I'll answer it together. So at Interac, what we do is we really embed incremental innovation and a mindset of continuous improvement in all things we do. And it's important that we always look at ways of bettering our products and services, leveraging the power of data analytics. We use obviously principles of design thinking for ideation, for concept building. We also follow agile delivery methods like Scrum, Kanban to develop and deliver assets. So these are fast and iterative delivery. But the fundamental principle we follow from a DNA perspective is that we have a systematic approach, that we keep ourselves abreast of technological advances and the trends, right? So it's very important when you're creating and thinking about data productization or creating data assets. There's lots that go into research and development, right? It's very easy to go with the industry flow and get carried away with every shiny concept or buzzword. I think it's important for an organization to really stay grounded and be pragmatic, right? You invest in your internal research as well as research through your trusted network of partners. Critically assess the capabilities we have in house and what do we need. So you assess the capabilities against a few factors. What we require to move our business forward, the business outcomes that these will support. Um, do these capabilities align strategically and give us competitive advantage? Does it help future-proof our business? Does it help engage or enable our employees and clients? Does it bring in efficiency and drive automation? All of these things need to be taken into picture. And in that process, you start thinking about building data products and data assets, right? I think the concept there is about treating data and insights as a product. How do you create these assets with the same rigor as you would create a business product, right? How do you assess and align the opportunity with the demand, benefits and the outcomes, that you don't want to be creating these things in a vacuum. I think that is very important. We have to also figure if we have the right quality and hygiene of the data before we embark on this journey, right? Have we taken things like data privacy into consideration? Once you've ticked off all these boxes, you can embark on what I would say a data productization or a commercialization journey. But it's a long path, right? It's a long path. It has to be done very thoughtfully with the right intent. And at every point, you have to be very aware of the outcomes that you're going to support through these data products and assets.
Right. Great. Thank you. It's interesting how we started, with design thinking and agile,
Mhm.
and then we got to alignment to business and strategy, and that's like this big way of thinking about data products.
Mhm.
So yeah, I appreciate it. Could you give me an example or two of a good functional data product that you use that's really reusable, that's successful in your organization? Or in general, what do you think is a good data product?
Yeah. So I think a few comes to mind, right? I mean, when you talk about data products, I think it's defined by the type of data that you have, and governed data as well. That I would say. And first and foremost, I think if you look at in our industry, when we talk about the payments industry and financial industry, you have a lot of client data or transactional data, right? Now, taking into consideration transactional data, for our case, we have tons of payment transactional data. Now, can you really look at deriving insights cross product, if you think about it, that can help our issuers or financial institutions or our end clients with some of the insights that we can come up with, right? Looking at some of the spending patterns, spending behaviors, etc. Right. So that's one. I'm generalizing it, but I think that is probably the most powerful one you can say. Um, the other use case would be something around fraud prevention and fraud detection, if you think about it, right? I mean, fraud's been a hot topic for a lot of time, and the other hat that I wear is on fraud analytics and fraud operations. So a core goal there is detecting and preventing fraud, and the enabler there is data, right? We really look at the transactions almost real-time basis to score them, right? Using advanced machine learning techniques, looking at the transactional behavior, user behavior, sender behavior, a lot of external data that we enrich it with. So when you combine all of this, and you come up with what I would say fraud detection score, right? That is probably one of the most powerful products you can have in the financial industry, right? So these are a couple of examples. I mean, you can probably go on and on and on, but and these are the data products, and some of them you can commercialize, or some of them you can monetize, right? Others you pass on to the clients as value-add services.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. A very sensible answer.
Mhm.
Makes a lot of sense. So thank you, Palash, for joining me today. Please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews.
Thank you.